Tonight we are diving headfirst into the absolute pit of right-wing brain rot, where the alpha males are weeping over jail cell windows, the MAGA elite are protecting alleged human traffickers, and the GOP's moral compass isn't just broken, it's been crushed into fine dust. Let's start with the grand spectacle taking place outside a Miami detention center. The headlines promised massive protests erupting over the arrest of top-tier Manosphere influencers Andrew and Tristan Tate. The reality? A single, solitary right-wing fanboy standing on the sidewalk with a piece of cardboard that reads, "Tates are heroes." That's right, one guy. One guy standing under the scorching Florida sun, practically vibrating with raw, unfiltered desperation. When interviewed, this absolute titan of masculine energy gave a response so bizarrely tender, it nearly brought a tear to my eye. He didn't rant about free speech. He didn't demand justice. He said, with a straight face, that he just wanted the Tate brothers' two beautiful sets of eyes to look down from their jail cell window and know that someone out there has their back. You cannot make this up. These are the same online gladiators who lecture high schoolers about ice-cold stoicism, dominant frame control, and never showing a sliver of emotional weakness. Yet here's their most dedicated foot soldier, standing on a curb in loafers, praying for a romantic lock of eyes with two men locked up on sex trafficking and rape allegations. If this guy was around 15 years ago, he'd be standing outside a federal pen blowing kisses to Jeffrey Epstein. Naturally, the absurdity didn't end on the pavement. Andrew Tate, or whichever minimum wage social media manager is currently running his playbook while he sits in a cell, immediately hopped onto X to tweet out, "For the massive crowd holding signs outside the jail, I can feel every word, thank you." A massive crowd, folks. It was literally one guy with a piece of poster board from CVS. Immediately, community notes and users hit him with the most humiliating fact check in internet history. "Sir, there is one person out there, and he is gazing at your window like a Victorian wife waiting for her husband to return from sea." Shortly after, a second supporter reportedly materialized outside the courthouse, sitting there looking like an off-brand, knockoff version of Andrew Tate bought from a discount bin, doing his absolute best to project unbothered Sigma energy while completely failing. This is all part of the classic Tate playbook. Every time the law catches up with them, whether it was in Romania or right here in Florida, they run the exact same PR script. They tweet out melodramatic rants about lying on cold concrete, being denied food and water, and fighting the Matrix. Meanwhile, inside that Miami facility, Tate is complaining about severe stomach issues from the jail food, giving rise to persistent reports that the self-proclaimed top alpha is doing little more than violently crapping his pants in isolation. Truly, the apex of masculine dominance. And let's talk about who is surrounding these guys. Fresh, high-definition footage of the arrest caught a very interesting sight. Justin Waller, another high-profile Manosphere guru, standing right there, carefully taking off all of Andrew and Tristan's gaudy gold chains before they were cuffed and stuffed into separate police cruisers. Nothing screams ultra-dominant alpha male quite like wearing sockless loafers, having your buddy unclasp your jewelry, and being hauled away by federal marshals while your stomach gives out. Here's where it gets politically filthy. Justin Waller isn't just some random internet hustle bro. He's the guy closely connected to Barron Trump. Reports have repeatedly highlighted Waller as part of the circle providing dating advice to Barron, and even helping pick out his wardrobe. Congressional Democrats have even pushed for subpoenas regarding Barron's extensive communications with Andrew Tate following previous legal troubles. Think about that for a second. The political lineage of the MAGA movement is taking lifestyle, relationship, and moral advice from guys who literally bragged on camera about how to manipulate women, seize control of their finances, and run webcam operations where the explicit goal was making sure the victims couldn't escape. In clips that Tate himself published years ago, he lays out his entire business model with sickening pride. He boasts about taking women who didn't have the will to do webcam work and engineering a system where he retained 100% control of their money. He literally sits there and explains on video how he made sure these women couldn't run away once the cash started flowing into his bank accounts. It's not a secret. It's not a media conspiracy. It is a self-confessed, taped breakdown of human exploitation. And yet, right-wing media circles continue to act as if these two are noble political dissidents being persecuted by a shadow government. And speaking of right-wing media, let's take a look at how this story is being covered, or rather, completely ignored. If you look at news aggregation data, the prosecution of the Tate brothers on massive new charges of rape and sex trafficking is being covered almost exclusively by center and left-leaning outlets. The conservative media machine has implemented a total, pitch-black blackout. It's their classic blind spot maneuver. When an issue completely shreds their culture war narrative, they simply pretend it doesn't exist, hoping their audience stays too distracted to notice that their ideological heroes are sitting in handcuffs. Because at the end of the day, the cover-up isn't an accident. It's the core feature of the entire apparatus. Look no further than the recent horrific allegations involving Ohio Republican Representative Max Miller, son-in-law of Senator Bernie Moreno. Newly released court records and investigative filings detail allegations that Miller physically abused his wife, held a gun to her head, threw hot water on her, and was investigated alongside a DCFS caseworker and Cleveland Clinic physicians after his 2-year-old daughter ended up with a broken collarbone, surrounded by suspicious handprint-shaped bruising. What was the party's reaction? Total silence. Crickets. When a political opponent faces an allegation, the MAGA outrage engine screams from the rooftops for immediate resignations and public burnings. But when it's one of their own, whether it's Max Miller or Matt Gaetz and his endless trail of illicit Venmo payments to underage girls, the entire conservative ecosystem instantly closes ranks, covers its eyes, and pretends nothing happened. They shield the abusers, glorify the pimps, and pretend to be the last bastion of traditional family values. The hypocrisy isn't just blatant, it's sickening. From Manosphere grifters crying in cells to politicians facing horrific abuse allegations in court records, the movement built on absolute moral superiority is rotting from the inside out. That is all the destruction we have time for tonight. If you appreciate actual accountability, ruthless satire, and holding these clowns to the fire every single day, smash that like button, hit subscribe, turn on post notifications, and drop your thoughts in the comments below. Stay sharp, stay skeptical, and I will see you in the next breakdown.